cottage, I believe, Lindsay. She's going to finish out the day. This was an event all day. Lots of crafters. There were lots of bird's nests, real cute, adorable bird's nest crafts that were made today I saw. And I thought about adding a bird's nest to my bunny and a bee, but I thought, well, now I've already got this planned, so I'm just going to stick with this. But this is just going to be a bunny looking up at a bee in watercolor. So I am going to get started. So I hope that you can all see me okay. And if you have any questions, just give me a comment and I'll look up here and there and try to answer your questions. But thanks for joining me, and Ollie will get me shared as soon as the previous crafter completed her portion. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the bunny's eye. And I'm going to zoom in. Sorry, it's being awfully touchy. There we go. So we're going to start with the bunny's eye. I've already got it sketched out on my watercolor paper. This is Aquarello watercolor Fabriano. It is 140 pounds, 12 by 18. And this is a block, so it's glued on all four sides, which helps with the warping. So yeah, I'm going to get started. I'm going to start with just some neutral tint. These are, I use mostly Daniel Smith watercolors. I'm just going in on dry paper, and I will use a water-only brush to soften some of the edges. So I just add some water. And soften some of those edges. Thank you, Ollie, again for inviting me to participate in this event. It's always a lot of fun. So now I have a mixture of transparent brown oxide, burnt umber, and a little bit of opera pink. It makes this really nice, warm brown, reddish brown color. I'm just going to place that in this lower portion of the iris. And I'm going to use my water-only brush. Also drop in a little bit of water, soften some of those edges. And I'm going to use my grainer brush, pull out some hair, fur-like texture. This grainer brush is really good to create fur. I'm going to get a little bit of quinacridone gold. Drop that in right down here. And a little bit of burnt umber right underneath that gold. And now I'm going to my water only brush and soften, let that blend a little bit. Now I'm going to get my grainer brush, pull out some of that fur. Drop in a little more of this burnt umber. And use the grainer brush again. Now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to work on the nose. So I'm going to use opera pink mixed with a little buff titanium. Just again going in on dry paper. I'm going to use a little bit of that brown color we used in the eye. And my water only, drop in a little water. I'm going to let that dry. So I'm going to, let's work on the bee. I'm just going to let this area dry. So we're going to work on the bee. So I am going to wet this whole area just with some clean water. Of course, I had rinsed my brush, so there is a little bit of water, tint to my water, but it's okay. And so I'm going to use some of the gold. Drop in just a little. Now I'm adding some water. I just want a very light yellow. I'm going to get a little transparent orange. Just touching in a few spots and adding a lot of water. I just want a very dilute amount of color. And get a little sip of coffee. I hope everybody's doing good. There's been lots of pretty crafting going on, that's for sure. Lots of awesome creations. So now I'm just wetting the ears. I am going to drop in some, so I have a light side and a dark side. This is going to be my lighter side. The sun is like shining in on this side. This will be my darker side. I'm going to use some, I'm going to go ahead and do my lighter side. I'm going to use some buff titanium. A little bit of the quinacridone gold, just a little. And a little bit of the opera pink right underneath that eye.
Well,
What's wrong?
you're streaming from your personal page to the other, so I can't get into it. And she's saying she can't share it. But there's obviously some people on there, so. I guess tell her to go to your personal page and share it see if she can share it from there.
Hi, Ollie, I am apparently went live on my personal page, Amy J. Farrell. So you might, if you could go over there, that's where I'm, instead of on my page, I went on my profile, Amy J. Farrell. Sorry about that. But I'm just going to put a little more color on this light side. Just very light. A light amount. I am going to, there we go. Now we've got the whole. So I've got opera pink and buff titanium mixture. I'm just going to put some of that in the ear. It's kind of a very pretty it's a very pretty muted a muted pink. And I added a little bit of purple to the darker side in the ear. I'm going to add a little under the eye. And I'm going to add a little purple at the base of the neck. Now I'm going to soften that. And I'm going to use my grainer brush. I'm just going to dip into that purple with my grainer brush, so I can pull some fur. Just kind of working around that eye. Now I'm going to go back and work a little on that bee. It's dried pretty good. So I just wanted it to be a little bit fuzzy in the background, but now we're going to go and put more specific direct color. And that was just a quinacridone gold. Now I'm going to put some transparent orange kind of towards the bottom, just to give it a little depth.
Exactly. Maybe you can ask her to go back and try sharing it again for you.
Ollie, yeah, on my personal page, Amy J. Farrell, you should be able to share it from there, I believe. Hi, Tish. Hi, Vonda. Okay, thanks, Ollie. I'm so sorry about that. I'm sorry. Okay, where was I? I've got, now we're going to do the darker color on the bee. I'm working on dry paper, so I'm not introducing a whole lot of water at this point, so I do have more control. So it's not going to bleed too much into what I've put on here already. So normally you would kind of wait till, area's dry so it doesn't all bleed together if that's not what you're wanting. But because I'm working on dry paper, it's not going to be much of a problem. It's getting a little tail here on the bee. I'm going to leave a little bit of the white of the paper for a highlight, and then I'll go back in and add a little water. Just getting some of the legs. I want to get some of the veins going up into the wings, and then he's got these antennae. So now I'm going to get my water only brush and add some water. Add just a little bit of color to those wings so we can see them better. And I'll zoom in a little so you can see that bee. There we go. There's our cute little bee. I'm going to add just a little more that gold, kind of. He's spreading his color everywhere. And we're going to do these little dash lines of his flying. Shows his path. Yeah, Tish, watercolor, I hesitated for a very long time to even attempt it. But I always loved the look of it. You know, you get soft edges and hard edges and everything in between all rolled up into one, kind of a dreamy, realistic style, I guess. So I like the, you know, the realistic of the eye, but then everything else is going to be kind of soft. And so I really, that's what I really like about it, is that, you know, you can have a little of both styles in there. I just love the way that looks. Just enough realism to know what it is. And then it's all kind of soft and dreamy around it. So just adding a little blue up in the sky, just giving it a little, let me zoom back out. Just kind of random, just very loose. Another way I also like to do like clouds is to get it really wet, get some color on there, and then take a paper towel that's bunched up and just kind of dab, and it really makes nice clouds. I'm just kind of wetting a little more, add a little more transition into some green as I go down. Just kind of working on other areas as I let some of this dry before I go back in and do any more details. You can use a hair dryer if you want, but it's a good time to get some of the other stuff done. Now I want to get a little green. Kind of adding more water. Do a little negative painting for the tail. Now I'm going to take a paper towel, just kind of wad it up, and just kind of dab a little. Now I'm going to take my grainer brush with some of my brown. I'm going to start working on the fur, not the feathers. I always do. I'm so used to doing birds and all. This is fur, not feathers. So you just kind of go in the direction that the fur grows. Just added a little more water to soften the edge. And this is my light side, so I do want to try to keep that a little lighter. I'm going to add a little bit of my purple mixture in with my brown, deepen it up a little because I want to have it deeper in the middle of these, where these ears separate. And I'll go in with I'm going to actually add a little buff titanium to my brown just to make it a little more of a tan. It's good to change the color often. I noticed one of the crafters earlier today was not feeling very good, and I think she had bronchitis. I hope she feels better. This weather, I don't normally suffer with allergies, but I really have been having allergies this year. I think it's the cedar. I guess I've had like the cedar fever stuff. Oh my goodness, it's normally don't, like I said, I normally don't really suffer with it. And it's not so much, I mean, I've had a runny nose, not so much a stuffy nose, but a runny nose. And it seems like I have a constant headache, and my throat is kind of, feels like I'm about to lose my voice. And so it's definitely been getting me this year. Just kind of layering, creating that fur. This is the lighter side. I think I'll add a little more of that opera pink buff titanium mixture. So I know the back of the ear, you normally don't see the pink, but we're going to kind of pretend like he's got his ear twisted and he's listening. So we can show a little bit of pink there. Add a little more, add a little neutral tint to that burnt umber. Oh, Ollie, I agree. It is relaxing to watch people paint. And so I always wondered, I wonder if it's people think that if they watch me paint, because when I watch somebody else paint, I feel the same. It's very relaxing. When I'm at my day job, I work in histology, so I have a lot of time where I sit in front of a machine making, cutting tissue, making, putting it on slides and stuff. So it's tedious work, but it allows me to, to have some time where while I'm doing that, I can watch videos. And so that's kind of what I do is I'll put, tutorials on. Sometimes my internet connection's not all that great, but when I can watch it, that's what I'll do is I'll sit there and watch videos while I'm, doing my work. So add a little more pink brown on this side. I'm just going to add a little dark to the perimeter of the ear. Just kind of paint around that tail, do a little negative painting. I do want a little purple. I'm going to add a little Prussian blue to my opera pink and buff titanium because I want a little purple in here. That's a pretty purple. Now you can also, you can put the brown in here for the fur, and then you can go back after it's dry and you can glaze in some purple over it. It's another option. Put a little of this pretty purple up around his eye. Kind of bring some attention up here to his eye or her eye, or a little more fur. I'm going to get a little darker as we go over to this other side. You hear my dogs snoring behind me. They're laying on the floor. They're snoring. And just kind of keep adding, keep layering till you get the color you want. But the more colors that you layer, the more it's going to look like fur, and the more it's going to, you know, give it some depth. It's going to look thicker and plush and it, you know, makes it look like fur. I want to get a little darker towards the bottom. Oh, thank you. Thank y'all. Okay, I think the eye is, yes, the eye is dry. So we're going to go back in and I'm going to use some cerulean blue, just a lighter blue, right up at the top of his eye up here. And I'm going to use some neutral tint and we're going to go back in and outline a little more now that it's dry. And I want to save my highlight, so I'm going to be very careful and paint around the areas I've designated for highlights. But we can use, I'm not opposed to using white gouache or even a bleed-proof white. I know a lot of traditional watercolorists don't use white of any kind. They just use the white of the paper. And although I do always set out to do that, it doesn't happen often. So, but I was able to save the highlight, the white of the paper here. So, but it definitely is you have to really be, you know, make a conscious effort to, but now you can use, there is something called masking fluid, and you can, whatever areas you want to save for a highlight, you can put the masking fluid on and then let it dry, and then you can paint over it and everything. And it will preserve it, you know, it masks that area so that paint won't penetrate it. And you can just paint over, and then when you're ready to paint that area or remove that masking fluid, you just kind of rub it off or use an eraser, and then it will just come right off. And then you can either, you know, add a little paint, because sometimes it looks a little artificial. Your lines will look a little too perfect. So you need to like soften them and all. So, hi, Terry Lynn. Thanks for joining. I'm going to add a little brighter pink just to bring some attention to the eye. And I'm going to use some of my quinacridone gold. Just lifting a little bit of this darker line. I'm not crazy about that. You can, once it's dry, you can take a damp brush and you can kind of scrub a little, and it will remove some of the pigment. Just going to soften that area right there. And I'm going to use a little bit of cobalt teal. Thank you. J&J, thank you. Let's see, I think I'll do some burnt umber. And I'm going to get a little buff titanium. And I am going to use a little bit of white gouache. I just want to lighten this area right under his eye. All right, now I'm going to use my grainer brush again. It's like a tan. And I'm going to do a little bit of transparent orange. Just going to kind of make it glow a little, brighten him up a little. Just in some areas. Maybe a little quinacridone gold also. kind of just doing a little bit of a wash or a glaze. Kind of where the sun would be hitting him on this side. I'm gonna kind of make him nice and bright and glowy. A little bit right here. Maybe a little in his ear. And I'm going to use just a little bit of lighter brown to kind of make his tail look fluffy. All right, I'm going to do some whiskers. I'm just going to use the liner brush with some of the dark brown that I had made. Cute whiskers there. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Terry. That's so nice. Okay. Now I think I want to add, oh, we got to do some grass down here. Doing good on time. I'm almost there. A bit of green over here. And kind of dab it. And I'm going to do a little bit of dark brown and green mixed together so he doesn't look like he's floating in the air. He's actually sitting on some grass. And I also wanted to make some little like stalk flowers. And that's what the bee is going after. whatever these flowers would be. Does anybody know what these tall stalk looking flowers are? Now I gotta add some stems. Maybe some Thank you, Ollie. And just a little more color here. And a little more yellow and a little bit of orange. And maybe just a couple of splatters. And some and soften some of the edges so it kind of looks like it's just disappearing. And I think that's it. There's our bunny and our bee with some flowers in watercolor. And I think Moody Cow, delphiniums. Yes, I think that is what those are. Yeah. And I think Moody Cow Cottage, Lindsay, is going to finish us out. And once again, thank you all so much for watching. And I really appreciate it. I enjoy this. I love painting, so it's always nice to have someone to chat with when I'm painting. And I think next month I will also be taking part in Ollie's event. So I will see you all then. And thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
to the